It's an honor to moderate SE Update interactive session on New World Strategies for Architecture and Design. English architect Norman Foster once said, as an architect, you design for the present with an awareness for the past, for a future which is essentially unknown. With the rapid evolution of available technologies and the integration of them into the profession, the role of an architect is changing faster than ever. Also, with every passing day, the field of architecture is becoming increasingly competitive. Today, SE Update is presenting a panel of leading professionals who define the land and sky of modern India to talk about what are their recommended strategies to adopt for every architect to create their space. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to today's distinguished speakers. We have here with us Architect Premnath sir, Architect Samir R. Dharukar, Architect Kalpak Shah, and Project Management Specialist Mr. Dinesh Dubeji. Delegates, we are sure that you are going to witness a thought-provoking session. At the same time, we would like to hear from you and invite you to put your questions, if any, for our panelists in the Q&A box. So to take this session forward, I would invite Architect Samir Adharukar of Mumbai-based architecture firm Vir Architects. Architect Samir, equipped in the profession with the Bachelor of Architect degree from Sir J.J. College of Architecture, Mumbai. Today, he has good mix of all sorts of projects in his portfolio, starting from hotels, malls, residential projects, townships, from designing, execution to completion, civil and interiors all over India. Now, he will talk on the topic, Design Mantra. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Architect Samir Dharukar. Samir, stage is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Subhajit. And it's my pleasure to share my thoughts today with all of you. I could see many of my colleagues have already joined. They are raising hands. And some of the usual suspects are already there. Today, you have given me a role of opening batsman. So I am taking the lead now. So as you rightly said, you have given me a topic to talk about a design mantra. In our culture, mantra means a powerful chanting or powerful formula to which we generally act upon or we generally take action upon the mantras. So accordingly, in the same pattern, design mantra, the design has a very powerful impact on our society. Not only just a building followed by a form or a form followed by function, not only a good looking building, but it has a lot of impact on psychological impact on the ambience within the building, the people staying in that building, and the people who are working in that building. So what is the importance of design mantra in designing the buildings and how it has practically turned into a profitability of towards the company? So rather than talking, I just decided to share my two projects where the clients has really appreciated us that your designs has made their company more profitable. Their staff who used to leave by 4 o'clock, now they are staying till 7 o'clock by themselves only. So how this has turned into a profitability. And good investments into a correct designs has always turned to be a long-term beneficial for any companies. So that is how, with your permission, I will start my presentations. However, the 10 minutes time is very limited to talk to you about any mantras, but I'll take my efforts to, and I hope you will definitely enjoy it. So I'll start my screen share here. To you about one project. This is called as, we did a retail store called as Biba, which is a very leading brand of women wear, based out of more than 200 stores across India. So how a simple design process like a first year architecture student has helped and really increased the sales of this store. So today I'm going to cover two examples. This is the first example and the second example is a totally opposite of this example. So this is the brand called as Biba and we could got an opportunity to design their store. This is a very well-established brand, and generally their clothing has a very loud Indian taste. It's an ethnic wear brand, very well known for Indian traditional salwar kameez, dupatta, and Punjabi dresses and this. So this store was located in the Bandra Khar Linking Road, which is known as a shopper's paradise in Mumbai. That everyone could have visited this place in Mumbai, those who stay in Mumbai. The photograph you see on the lower side are the existing site before we did the renovation. Now, as a Biba, the store, we got a thought process that Biba represents India. India has a very wide, very versatile culture. Each state has its own taste, has its own color, has its own language. Now, Mumbai being a cosmopolitan city, there are person from every state stays in Mumbai. So we decided to pick some elements and something very generalistic, which will design the store frontage in such a way that every woman crossing the Khar Linking Road or a Bandra Hill Road will definitely get attracted and get connected to that store. So what are the elements we wanted to design? The design mantras or a very strong design elements. So that is how the procedure, we will thought process. I'll take you through a journey, how it developed and how it came into a reality. So as it represents India and Indian culture and Indian traditional wear, so we decided to take a simple form, square, which is very easy to execute. As because of lot of constraints of budget, we don't wanted a very hanky-panky, very funny designs. So we selected a simple form of 2D square. Then it developed into a box. Then it developed into a many boxes. So it was just a juxtaposition of boxes of this. Then we added some elements. That is, we picked up some elements from the salwar kameez dupatta or some traditional elements from the dresses of the particular this, and then we picked up the Biba written in different Indian languages. So any person, any religion, any language staying in Mumbai can connect to that storefront. And as a result, this was the storefront which is developed as a store frontage. Rather than a simple neon signage or a typical nameplate kind of storage, which we generally see in most of the malls, here being in the high street, Khar Linking Road, we had a lot of liberty to design a store frontage. So this was a perfect juxtaposition of boxes, little forward, behind, upper, down, and we written Biba in different languages. And this was the concept which we developed. Now to turn into a reality. This is the plan, store plan. This is the elevation, and all materials. To being in a very tight budget, we used all local materials. That is wooden flooring. These boxes were made out of a simple acrylic sheet, weather resistant acrylic sheets. These are the interiors of the storage. And the main thing, which was, this is a store front, which was a simple, strong design mantra, which you could see it in this simple juxtaposition of boxes. And the store became the most visited store on Khar Linking Road. And this now to play with more rhythm, to add more rhythm into it, we just provided a color changing LEDs. And if you notice that each Biba written in different languages changes the color, and especially in the evening time also, it has a very eye-catching elements. So that was my first example, where really a simple thought, simple square box placed with the right design, right materials, weatherproof material, and with a simple color changing LED. That storefront was absolutely a different look from complete street. No store has such a no store has such a wonderful storefront. So after a few months, we got a call from the sales team that their sales have really increased. The people who were just traveling by car also, they used to stop and at least see the storefront, and next time they used to come inside. So this was a good appreciation for us, that a simple thought process, simple design executed in a very tight budget has turned out to a very good, profitable towards the company. So we see a lot of colors, lot of flowers, motif. This is another example where also a similar experience came to us. So how a strong design thought process. We did an industrial building sales office, RD2. This is for Raheja Universal Builders. We did a sales office for an industrial building. Generally, we had done a lot of sales for residential building where we use a lot of metal, glass, Italian marble, little shiny effect. But here, the brief given was totally opposite. We don't wanted to use none of these materials. No Italian marble, no shining, nothing. So we had a lot of thought process, which I'll explain it to you. We simply thought like a first year architecture student. When we think of industry, the site was in Navi Mumbai. When we think of industry, what are the first thing comes into our mind? That smoke, exhaust, metal scrap, gearboxes, wire mesh scrap, rustic effects, fire, industrial waste. So these are the first thought when we think of industry, and how these thoughts has actually turned into a designs with a very skillful way in a tight budget. So this metal scrap, we designed a jali out of this metal scrap. This element jali, which was on the south and the western side, it creates a very natural shadow effect in the complete glass facade inside the premises. These gearboxes, we represent a sculpture put in the lush green grounds in front of this building. Then wire mesh, if you could see the lights were representing the wire mesh, and they create a reverse shadow effect on the ceiling of this wire mesh. Rustic texture, as there are a lot of materials which were used into rustic, this flame finished granites, then wallpapers. There's a complete rustic effect into it. Fire, another element, fire, which is the illumination, there's a night view, and industrial waste. There is a lot of industrial waste. We made a sculpture out of industrial waste, which fits perfectly into a highlighted wall. Now, this is the complete effect of a sales office, which shows a very strong impact of an industrial sales office. These are a few of the images of the same. So this is how a simple industrial waste and thought process of industrial waste turned into a reality, and the small elements, which is as a first impact, first thought of this, has turned into a reality of an industrial building sales office. Now, after 6 months, we got a call from their sales team that in today's very bad construction market, also they could able to sell 90% of their inventories, and it really gives us a very proud moment that they have appreciated our design skills. And last year they had a local investor summit. This was also placed on the same campus, and their staff timings has really increased. Their staff efficiency has really increased after this. So these are the two examples. In first example, we saw a lot of flowers, colorful. It was related to dress, ethnic wear, women wear brands. And this secondly is an industrial sales office. So how a simple thought process has developed into a reality in this. I'll just take you to some of our other design projects where you could see a very strong design elements, which has really turned up into a good profitable design investments for the stores. These are some other stores in Phoenix Mall, Palladium. This is another project with Tata Housing. This is another hotel. We are doing it in just next to airport. So wherever in most of this project, you will see a very strong design element in this.
So now I would like to invite our legendary architect, Architect Premnath sir. Architect Premnath of Premnath and Associates is practicing for more than 55 years and has excelled in almost every kind of projects. Architect Premnath is often referred to as a seminal architect. In recent years, he has won many awards, including the India's Top Architect Award 2020, Reality Plus Lifetime Achievement Award for the year 2020, DNA Sir JJ Architecture Award for 2018 by Sir JJ College of Architecture, Icon of the Year Award for the year 2017, and the Lifetime Achievement Award by Society Interiors. He is currently involved with various smart projects, including Smart Green Architecture at Gift City, Gujarat for SBI and other clients. We would invite him to enlighten us on how the architectural project designing is transforming. So let's welcome Architect Premnath sir.
Good morning, namaskar to everybody. It's wonderful to have a meeting with our colleagues and architects and sharing thoughts among ourselves at the time of COVID. Today, I speak to you briefly about future of architecture, particularly in our country, and after this circumstances, what is happening, we are going through. Uh, it is unfortunate it happened an event like this, which has had a lot of impact on the at international level, and we all aware of that. This impact will be go for a long time. It have a lot of impact on our industry in general kind of economy. Economy is going down, and we'll have kind of limitations about expenditure. Our income will reduce. Our working style will change. We already uh, feeling that the change in environment, work from home is a kind of used to happen earlier, a very limited way, but today it has become like an almost style, a daily lifestyle of working from home. Very quickly, we have learned about the ITC, that the Internet of the Things, need new technologies, new kind of interaction, or doing kind of conferencing, that distance kind of learning, distance kind of educational system, and we have realized that Corona is not going to go away. We're going to live with Corona, basically. We'll have to overcome Corona by virtue of maybe health and hygiene. We may get medication course of time, but we come to know, realize that only healthy will survive. Only healthy will go to work to offices. People not healthy, they possibly won't be allowed to go out of their homes. So our priorities will have become kind of very clear. Though there's a good advantage of Corona, the side effect that we are having kind of an environment becoming better. Our pollution is down, getting clear sky, your weather is getting greener. You have a worry of kind of global warming reducing over there. So the priority comes as a health. Now, when it comes to health over there, we have to be healthy either at home and healthy also at your workplaces there. So architects will be required to design. Essentially, the first slogan priority will be healthy designs. Healthy design means we take advantage of, and nature is the best source of health. It's free, sunlight, environment, and take advantage of outdoor life over there. It keeps you more healthier there. So we'll have to make all our homes and workspaces environment friendly, more healthier places. For example, if I make a home, like apartment particularly, where multi-family people live over there, be sure about that homes have some kind of outdoor area called balcony or veranda. Home does have cross ventilation. Home does get sunlight coming into the interiors, maybe east facing or west facing. We are making a lot of boxes earlier. We can make a lot of kind of high kind of features. But priority comes how you make your home healthy by using natural environment. Our planning will change on that. We'll have also our home will have workspace part of our home. I may have two bedroom, maybe 2.5 bedroom require half a bedroom, possibly require study room, which are going to work as a work equipped properly, the IoT thing with my kind of system and my kind of advanced computers, my advanced kind of technologies for video conferencing, and all put many things together. And technology is definitely going to help us enhance our kind of efficiency. In time to come, we'll have IoT, Internet of Things, and 5G will change our lifestyle. And because speed and efficiency will be had to be very well equipped on that. While going to offices, understood that we'll have to possibly have social distances. We'll have to work in a more healthier manner. Offices were earlier made in a kind of particularly large offices, particularly IT offices and kind of back house offices. They were very cramped up, having around about 30 square feet area per person kind of density. Now that becomes very unhealthy space. Normally, in our offices, we used to have a small break areas. I want a break area in every 2 floors, 3 floors, 5 floors. Now, new offices, what you're doing now is that we create break areas on every floor, maybe 2 or 3 break areas. On the east orientation, the west side over there, side over there. The worker can possibly come out every 2 hours to breathe fresh air, take a fresh sunlight for a while over there, go back with a fresher and healthier. That's one. Second thing is technologically we'll have to make it improve a healthy environment. Normally we would have central air conditioning with a large kind of air unit and duct supply the air. which has caused a kind of spreading pollution. Now we are redoing now, making the office to compartmentalized. Each compartment will have its own separate air unit, air handling units, or maybe call it package units, or you may call it kind of a cassette unit. Plus, it also have an add-on fresh air, treated fresh air unit, which gives you treated fresh air from outside. Maybe you have a compartment of not more than about 1,000 square feet area where 50, 20 people can work, not more than that. So that each compartment has self kind of regulated and the pollution doesn't travel from one compartment to other compartment. Also, workstation going to become different now. We'll have to have a keep a kind of distance between the people over there. It has been more open environment. We'll have to bring technology in our workspaces. Like earlier, we had a problem of security. We used to go through a security system in the entrance lobby, the ground floor, your elevator, access control. We'll also now have a added wireless control. As you enter your office, you'll have a wireless tunnel. You pass through wireless tunnel like airport pass through kind of booth. You go to the wireless booth and get yourself clean up over there using some kind of technology which become which we call it uh, lighting system possibly, which what we use basically in our pharmaceutical kind of production area. We use blue light. You can anti-virus kind of light over there. W channel light basically, which is a natural part of sunlight. So body sunlight over there, very nice, very UV rays, ultraviolet rays, and in low kind of frequency, and in nanospeed over 250 nanospeed over there, they are skin friendly, and they kill all kind of virus, not only corona, but all viruses. So you go through a tunnel, through kind of entry tunnel in the beginning of the office, the elevator lobby will be controlled over there. Your workstation will have a blue light, which possibly antivirus. Your lighting system in the office will be added some more blue lights. These lights have been using in hospitals, they've been using in operation theaters, they've been pharmaceutical areas over there. And because architect can smartly integrate them over directly create some moods over there and make the place environment healthy. That is the new change going to happen. Same thing will happen when the lighting system will incorporate your homes also. They will have a kind of UV lights part of integrated into your design, your home, your entrance lobby, in your bedrooms, in your living areas, in your alcoves over there, your bathroom, so that you have everywhere your environment is created virus free. It is not kind of dangerous to your health because this is skin friendly. Now this is a new product is going to take technology is going to be happen into our lifestyle over there. So this is how next thing will come. We notice over there. See, the future of architecture depends on the economy and the social system. When the economy was booming during kind of we had a kind of oil kind of boom. We have seen Dubai and Shanghai coming over their gateway, putting grand buildings, a very tall building and extravaganzas. Now with this economy going on world over, extravaganza will come down. Essential will come down. For example, China has already given order that nowhere in the country they'll have building any state building not more than 500 meters. They say we're not running a race to make tall building. They're going to have only essential, useful building. That means they commit essential requirement, minimal requirement, functional requirement. This kind of architecture will happen in future. They will have to have no extravaganza. Or luxury will be down. We have affordable luxury. Designer can still do good design. They can use materials, they can use color, you have texture, they can do tone, they can do anything over there. But there will be a cut down on the cost. And essential thing will be like your priority will be your health, hygiene, hospital, schools, other thing over there, and kind of affordable building, affordable housing, affordable workspaces. With that kind of thing, for some time, possibly have to make our change of attitude of architects, and we possibly have a less opportunity of doing some extravagance. That change will happen. Of course, let's talk later about technology will play a lot of role in time to come, beside corona or no corona. Technology, always architects, they make the building design, use of knowledge of technologies and building materials and resources. Resources mean finances, economics, and from where is it available. I may have technology, but expensive, so I can't afford it. I talk about smart cities. The smart cities slogan is like coming down. It's expensive to use smart cities because this is top heavy for our country now. So we have smart villages, smart town, doing some smart kind of essential requirement like putting safety, security, and kind of road safety, and put some kind of CCTV and internet and Wi-Fi. Okay, that is all right. But beyond that, smart city demands a lot of kind of requirement in terms of garbage management, movement, traffic, this, that, a big way over there. So priority is definitely on how to serve the people who are poor people basically, how to help them first, provide for them rather than going in extravaganza. So that will happen in all our building, with public building, government building, or even private sector building. Architect should be geared how to do duty and budget. Duty and budget building, duty and budget interiors. That is the kind of future I see.
Right.
If or not, I can talk to you about technology, how what technology is going to have changed in our architecture. Maybe you have other speakers too in the meantime, have their views and join it later on again. I hope I have clarified my point. Thank you very much.
Right. So delegates, there's no denying to the fact that British and European architecture still have its profound impact on Indian construction industry. Now, I would like to invite architect Kalpak Shah to talk on the topic, the international influence, as he has got exposure to European as well as Indian architectural space. After earning his bachelor degree in architecture from MMCA Pune in 2010, architect Kalpak studied masters in advanced architecture design from Frankfurt, Germany in 2013. In 2016, he established Studio Course, a firm involved in diverse projects working design to more levels of innovation and perfection. So let's welcome Kalpak Shah, Principal Architect, Studio Course.
Firstly, thanks Ace Update for inviting me with such dignitaries over the platform. Without further ado, let's jump into this realm of design and architecture. So firstly, like a short way to comprise the kind of work that we are doing. So the design philosophy and the course that our studio tries to unfold is of coherent design over the path of contemporary modern architecture. Simplistic minimal design with careful selection of sustainable materials and precise details with local craftsmanship is extremely central to our philosophy. So it's both the things, like there's a lot of learning from global scenario of architecture, and at the same time there's a lot of importance given to the local understanding of materials, craftsmanship altogether. The design intent that we always try to achieve is of a calm and serene space. So basically, what is modern architecture and what is contemporary? So basically, with modern architecture, we have to let go of a lot of unnecessary things such as ornamentations and giving importance to things which are not really tectonic. So the focus is more on simplicity, more on structure, on truth of materials, etc. With contemporary, contemporary means something, a story of our times, a story of today, story of now. So what is it that we are trying to make a statement via our architecture or via our design? I think the whole effort which a lot of architects, master architects, architects all over the world, and especially even in our Indian subcontinent, we try to do is like try to point the needle of the compass of architectural fraternity in a right direction. And that comes out from your practice, from the things that you learn, from the projects that you do, and all the understanding of the global and local together. So I'd just like to share two projects which also show that what we are actually talking about today. Yes, so this is a project that we did in Pune itself. It's called Veranda on a Roof, and it's basically an extension of a penthouse located on 12th 12-story building. So this becomes the roof, and our whole entire idea was to make it as immersive as possible, and the idea of having veranda, which is a very Indian way of transitional space, and taking it and understanding the entire international way of designing of contemporary architecture, and how can we get these two things together. So so this is how it turned out after we designed it. And idea is the idea is to use a lot of local materials like the flooring, and so the walls and the floor are comprised of Indian IPS, which is the Indian patent stone. All the furniture is made out of Indian teak wood, and most of the things are not bought out from some places. They are all from local uh, perimeter, using local craftsmen. So this becomes the library. The entire terrace is comprised of library on one side, a pantry at the bottom, which acts for short cooking for to host parties, and the rest of the space is the terrace with a lot of plantation. So it becomes that's to cater to the hobbies of the client of reading, cooking, and planting. Mm. So I'll try to make it as precise and short as possible. So the the entire palette talks about a lot of Indian elements of the materials of the kind of joineries that we use. So we've not used a lot of screws and nails. Rather, we've tried to get the Indian joinery of the finger joint, the dovetail joint, all together into this. Uh, so that's the staircase that takes us from the lower level to the upper level, and this becomes a very calm, serene space, for book reading, looking out onto the terrace. Uh, all the joineries. There's a lot of all the things about modern and contemporary architecture that we've been talking about, to emphasis more on simplicity, to let go of a lot of unnecessary ornaments and things. So all the railings, the smallest of the joineries, everything is designed by ourselves, and the effort is always to make it as simple and as subtle as possible. This is an axonometric view that shows the relation between the library space, the terrace, and the pantry. Um, on the left, you see the hand movement imprints of the cement plaster of the workmen that they've worked on it. So that in itself becomes an art, instead of using secondary or tertiary ways to enhance it. So the act of making it itself is the art of what stays behind. So that's the facade that can completely open up and work on the interiority between the inside and the outside space. And once you shut it, it again gives you a personalized space. So all the handle and the it's called the door stopper, which is like a datta, which used to be used in old ancestral Indian homes, is contemporarized in a format, and everything is kept as simple as and subtle as possible. So this pantry comprises of a refrigerator, aquaguard, griller, fryer, and everything. But then the effort is to make it as minimal as possible. And same, all the materials which were continued inside also continue outside at the same time. The same details that we spoke about. This is another house in Gujarat that is recently completed, and again the focus remains the same on simplicity, minimalism, and sustainability. So there is a lot of learning from international designers such as George Nakashima, Corbusier, the sofas you see, the Hans Wegner chairs. So there's a lot of understanding of simplistic design which comes across from different countries and different masters of architecture and chair designers. The effort is to use all Indian materials, as many as possible. The flooring is Indian granite, the walls and the furniture are Indian teak, and the walls or the ceiling are again made in cement plaster. So it's a simple plan in T shape, so that all the rooms get three side open windows for maximum natural air, natural ventilation, and light. And then the same philosophy of simplicity continues throughout the house. As soon as you approach the random rubble masonry, the Indian plantation, so there's no effort on doing exotic plantation or anything, because in this Indian climate, the Indian flora and fauna, they they are nurtured much better by our nature than some other exotic plants. The Indian seating is again contemporarized in a way that it becomes part of theaters, instead of just picking up from modern influences and putting big chairs into a theater. This becomes like an Indian version at a global international level of designing and putting it up. Again, some more pictures of the dining and the kitchen area. So kitchen also, again, instead of buying ready-made modern furniture and just placing it in, we tried to contemporize it more towards the client's personality, their lifestyle, and our Indian craftsmanship. So there's a lot of woven rattan, cane work, Indian brass, so all Indian stones. So all of these are used, to make a palette which is truly Indian and truly international at the same time. So that's again like a 4-poster bed, but then kind of contemporarized and made it into a different original take onto it. Just some more pictures showing these details, and then the details eventually. So basically, the entire envelope has to speak the same story. It cannot be just a part of it. So even the details of the handles, the details of the staircase, the entire building to landscape to even to until the toilet, everything has to speak the same story, which I think I've learned studying about Mies van der Rohe, and also working with Bijoy Jain of Studio Mumbai, who's again a master in Indian contemporary vernacular architecture. These are again some more details. And the last project I'll just swiftly go through is, this is a project in Nairobi that we are a part of. So it's again a collaboration between a lot of international people. And so we'll be designing a lot of wooden furniture. We're trying to get a little bit of Indian material with a modern touch, designing the facades of this house, and subtle furniture items. And the idea is to go to utmost level of designing even the handle or even the hinge or a knob to everything. So this is one of the sample that we've done here in India, and then we will ship it to the project. Sorry, just a second. Yeah, and just another things of more detailed handwork using Indian materials and craftsmanship.
Now we will come for the project management related discussion. Project management has become an important aspect for successful execution and operation for any construction project. Now I would like to invite Mr. Dinesh Dubey, Director of Operations, Turner India, to talk on the principles of construction project management. Dinesh is a project management professional with over 28 years of experience in the building and construction industry. Apart from heading the operations for the building and factory verticals of Turner across India, he is also responsible for driving innovation and new technology initiatives for Turner in India. So welcome, Mr. Dinesh Dubey.
The way I am positioned in the panel also shows at what stage I walk into the project. And it is also, at least good thing is that now we are part of the project. Otherwise, this was a skill and science that was eluding most of the places. The good thing is that now people have started understanding the role of project management, and it has come into the forefront. It's also a function of at what stage we come into the project. And interestingly, government is the first driver, all the new projects that government has started, there is a project management consultant. And it is important to really overview and look at the project. So the key challenges when you look at it, one of the reason why we, in spite of being we are independent from 47 and it's almost now 70 years plus, we're still yet to reach where the construction and the quality of our deliveries and the it's not, we've still not reached, we're still at a very beginning of what we see there. Because there are a lot of other things that we have really not looked at it. And plus the present circumstances of pandemic has also really unfolded a lot of things. So as we look at it, the future is basically going to be, we will stop producing at the field level. We will be really assembling at the field level instead of production. That is what it is. Now those basic nuances will have a different kind of a challenge that you see. The first challenge, the biggest challenge that we face is aligning all the stakeholders who on the project to come to a single objective, aligning with the vision of the project, aligning with the final user of the project. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that we really start looking at. Second most important thing that we generally start looking at is risk assessment. And in today's circumstances, you will all understand risk assessment is one of the important parts. It's important to assess the risk continuously throughout the span of project because so that you can identify, control, or transfer or share it with those things. So that's the other important thing. Third key important thing is competencies. I think competency is something which is very, very important, and surprisingly, we will have such a huge amount of working population available, but then always will be the challenge, do they have skill to develop those things? Interestingly, we will adopt to technology much faster than most of the people because our skills will not be able to reach. It is the technology that will bridge that gap much faster than the people getting onto the skills. So that is something there. When I say skill are two parts to it. One is a technical skill, which I think we are still better than what we have. The biggest thing is the leadership skill, putting in a project, taking everybody together, balancing out the expectations, managing different personalities, manage people, manage teams. This is going to be the real far bigger skill than really getting to the technical part of those things. And then comes the continuous monitoring part of it. Continuous monitoring is going to be a key driver. So that's where the technology will work in, how you continuously check what you're doing, how you're continuously evolving over the phase of process. Change management, because India, surprisingly, the business conditions are very dynamic in nature, be it the way markets behave, be it statutory bylaws behave. So it's that managing those changes. And of course, bringing a predictability. So honestly speaking, we need to really bring a predictability into our development processes. Again, this is where technology can have a play, assessing all the stakeholders. Now, when we walk into the project, one of the first things we look at is the completeness of the information. Whether every information that is needed, because you walk in a stage and you realize 80% information is not, and you are about to start a construction. So I think that's an important thing. Second key factor we look at is a buildability and a biddability. Can you really build this building the way, or build a project, whether everything is there? And then comes the part as a biddability. Is it biddable enough for somebody to price it rightly, and you can really deliver these things? We also look at the other issues, especially constructability, detailing. Then we talk about logistics, especially if you're working in Mumbai, that's a big thing. As simple as that, you don't have enough working hours available for you. Based on our experience in India, because of the availability of labor and all those things, what has happened? You actually get 220 to 250 work productive days. How do you cover up the whole project nuances within that time as a skill that you have to bring in? So these are the challenges that you really look at it. And finally, of course, the communication, how the communication has to be there. Do you use, so there are different technological tools that are available, be it document management tools, data collection tools, because this is what all defines the projects that we really come across. And of course, finally, resources, resources, when I say resources in terms of both men, material, and of course, in terms of cash flows. I still remember, the day cash flow problem is solved, the project is over actually. So it's not the problem of a project management, it's a more problem of the business part of the development. So these are the realities that we live. We've been in the country for almost now 13 years. We did a Statue of Unity in the country. We've been involved in the past with the Burj. We did a 101 Type A. We're also doing a 118 Merdeka that's coming up in Malaysia, a 618. All these projects are extremely complex, high on the capital value. But what defines all of them is plan. We've been not really doing. For us, construction, planning, execution, design, thinking, everything is going simultaneously. So what happens when you're doing everything together, your ability to foresee change, ability to make change, and ability to manage is very limited. You're working in a very limited domain of, expertise and idea. And of course, the new pandemic will also throw up a different kind of, because it has impact on productivity, it has an impact on the supply chain. So how do we maneuver and all? So I think the way forward will be definitely looking at more of a manufacturing practice bringing into our space than of really doing what we've been doing as of now. I think that's something a little that I can share at this point of time.
Competition is integral to the architecture industry and has been there for years. It's nothing new. It forces individuals to push the boundaries of their creativity and results in creation of some incredibly significant project. To start with you only, could you reveal some of your strategies to adopt for every architect to be able to successfully win a project?
Sir, I have no idea how to win a project over there. Because I've been very fortunate from the day one, the project will come to my lab. I've been getting projects over there. But also was maybe a very, very fluky guy over there. I give you an example. The people try on me, कि साहब ये काम है, ऐसा है. They show you kind of big thing over there and try to convince me to make a design. They already have some other architect. They already have some over there. They have one more idea. That's happening for I'm talking by beginning. So one more idea became man became better idea, and I got the jobs. Now I learned something. If I chase anything, I won't get it. But I desire something over there. I keep myself always well equipped, well knowledge over there, resources, material. When opportunity comes, I'm able to possibly deliver it and possibly make convincing kind of design or whatever it is. I learned something. See, there are two kind of competitions. One is public competitions. You'll have to go through the process, whatever you want to be done over here. But you must, as an architect, must understand the mind of the client. Whether it's a private client, whether it's a woman client, whether it's a corporate kind of client, whether it's a kind of Sarkari client over there, or somebody, a Western kind of client over there. Architect has a psychologist. I'm not making money for myself. I'm making for somebody. But to win the design over there, if I like it, first of all, must like it to work. Why should I offer competition? I like to do something on that. Then I do my best. First, understand him. If he's a builder, let us understand builder and what is his customer, his clientage, people who want to buy it, what to suit them, what kind of package, what kind of size, what kind of location, what kind of environment around that. So I use my skill, my ability, experience to put into that, which become possibly a very kind of solution, we call that, not many solution. All architects are really good. And let's say top architect 10, 20, they all are best architect. One gets the job. Why he gets one job? Because he is comfortable to deal with, comfortable to handle with each other. Maybe his communication, say language, body language, maybe a service. So comfort is very important. We are professionals, we are service providers. Our job is to give best service with a smile, and service with quality. But do that over there. Then how you win your design competition. Number of times youngster had taken job away from me because they were good. Number of times job come to me because I'm the best and the competitive also. The box face. Today world yet we realize basically. Look, I cannot possibly I'm a possibly kind of very unique person. I charge very high price. People can't afford it, and they pay me for some design. A private home. At times, for it's a private home, I charge 15% fees. And we don't do many private homes. We do only once a while. Unless you know the guy very well, personally, know the family, and they want to expose themselves to deal with me, and they want to, talk to me. I talk to their family, parents, mother, children, servants to know how they live it. I do so much. He said, what you are architect, the doctor, I'm making investigation to us. I'm making hope for you. At the same time, I have to compete with the larger projects over there with the fees kind of peanuts. Now, that's a kind of larger quantity. Only thing is the larger quantity, maybe important project, good visual project over there, possibly give you some kind of limelight to you and kind of run your office and show over there. But make a balance on that. I suggest all architects, younger architects particularly, must have patience. One, they must develop the ability to presentation. My skill, presentation. Presentation in terms of design, in terms of my speaking, in terms of my experience, in terms of expressing it. Very important because I have learned in the course of time. I had, when I started my career, I was one of the best illustrators. I was one of the beginning kind of, there were no interior designers. I became interior designer. We had no interior designer over there. But I learned the skill and art of making illustration interior design. And I got very fancy jobs, corporate offices, celebrity homes, kind of thing over there. Got my skill, and I had enhancement knowledge also there. So architects will have to possibly enhance their knowledge and skill over there. Today, life is changing different now. Today, get businesses because of your people who know you. And I must say, compliment to project managers. They are a great tool. They are the best people who can give you projects possibly. They like you, they bring business to you. You must understand. See, we are old timers. We were doing project management ourselves also there. But I was doing interior design, I was doing structural design also there. So I was doing costing management, I was doing everything. But I'm an architect. Today, a lot of help is available to us, tools are available to us there. Why not use them? What I do is I try to train my engineers as an architect. So he understand what's architecture. I train my project managers, my staff over there, what is architecture to understand, what the architect expects over there, how to communicate. So we have very good relationship, tuning with project manager and structural engineer and service engineer. My engineer tell me, Premnath, you're giving all the solution to begin with me. I mean, मैंने क्या करना है? ऐसे put steel in that, yaar. Put this, save my time. So my project manager is a helping hand to me. I have respect for them because they save my time. They can handle a lot of things on site over there. At the same time, also understand what is his problem, his commitment, time, schedule, that means drawing, delivery, and dealing with the contractor, quality. He has many things to do, project managers. Hats off to them. So they take off my load and they let me do some, I devote more time into my work over there. So that is one of the best kind of have a synergy among our professionals, work together. Also today we associating with among other architects, living consortium. A lot of young architects come and join me, they want to be an associate. They have a client. Sir, we have a client, but I don't have capacity to do it. Can I please take your help? I say, welcome. Now that be a confidence in me. I would treat him that he doesn't get bad name, he gets reputation because he is coming out to work with me. With him, client should be happy. You must understand, once we make the client happy, the client multiplies. Client, we can't advertise it, we can't do marketing. Our work itself is the best kind of reference, best kind of advertisement, and our client satisfaction is a very important thing there. Yeah, how we get much more work over there. Our younger architects, I must tell them, it is a very tough field, a very competitive field. They must devote more time to make themselves more competent in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology, in materials, resources, and passion, and to kind of we architects have to create, we can't tell lie to ourselves. We have to create our building which to stand. So I have to actually work honestly. So what I have to think of those lines basically, very important for me that I am a responsible architect and I have a well-equipped person over there. And I'm sure client will find you. Client will find you basically. It tells you that. This is how I possibly. In any case, building a project over there, your best kind of design is very important. And your best disposition, comfort of dealing, and your being how easy you are to be accessible. Like my client find me comfortable, accessible to them. I don't hang a call me a phone, morning, evening, Sunday, nights over there, holidays. I'm available to them. I give the solution. My job is a solution provider. So I possibly give them comfort. Yes, not to worry, sir. big architect, no, maybe big, but I get a job very well at architect service. So a solution is smile and comfort and ease, and that works very well. And there was any business, any profession, architecture particularly so. Architects are very moody people and temperamental, this, that, what to go there.
Got
So
it, sir.
you'll have to possibly, we'll have to get over that. We have to think about reality of life over there.
I
We are
completely
artists, we are thinker, we are moody people, we do whatever it is, we do that, but still we got to do.
I think Premnath sir put it very nicely. I think it's definitely like, instead of chasing someone like, who might have some other expectations out of the building and what you could offer, I think it is always better to put out what you can do. So, for example, this is something that means to me, like a good design means to me, a good ecology means to me. Something to like, even like for making a home, like Premnath sir put it very precisely. You have to understand everyone's personalities. You have to understand, interview all of them. That's how you can make it. It's not like you make one thing for thousands or something like that. So it's always instead of like trying to get every project, it's better to just show what you are, and the right client who is looking for similar ideology, similar philosophy, they always find you some way or the other. So it's always like a like a marriage sort of a thing, or like both the people have to like each other in a way to make a good project. So yes,
that sounds great.
that's it. Sure.
Samir, you were there in the I think for more than 9 years you were running your organization, We Architects. So
Yes.
could you mention one of those setback if you have ever faced while actually bidding for a project, something like that?
Yeah, actually, there were many setbacks. When we started my practice, initial days were very good. So we got a lot of retail chains and these were quite busy. But after 3-4 years, there was a big slack in the industry only. So most of the architects, most of the construction field builders were facing a problem. So at that time, we really thought of doing business development. So one, two, three things I totally agree with Premnath sir, and that is my today's takeaway from his talk is you have to be well equipped with all the new technologies and everything. Whenever the opportunity comes, you have to grab it. Secondly, you have to be patient. You have to be patient for getting some project. It will not happen overnight. So today you give a presentation, next day you won't get any project. And thirdly, working collaboratively will work. So that three principles has really worked in our case. So that is why our firm name is We Architects.
I'm very happy to hear from somebody like Mr. Premnath. See, at the end of the day, doing a project is a collaborative effort. And I think that's more important. And that's also takes away the fact in this. So like simple example, if I'll give you an example, when you ask an architect what does he see in the project and what does a developer or the promoter sees. So like architect sees a great building, people standing and admiring, whereas developer is looking at a family standing in balcony and smiling and enjoying with the family. Now there are two different perspectives. And he's also feeling happy that, okay, these guys are happy, they'll come back to me again. Now what I'm trying to say, it's very important to understand what is the problem statement. Actually, we jump to the solution with whatever historical reason, or we don't do enough groundwork before providing a solution. See, honestly speaking, if you see tall buildings, especially big projects, they're actually very simple buildings. They are not very complex buildings unless kalakari kuch hai usme. But most sustainable buildings are simple buildings and they're beautiful buildings. It's so simple actually. Now what I'm trying to say is understanding what is the client's need is the first thing. And as I think all the panelists have mentioned, going through the rigor of trying to understand the lifestyle. The journey between house and a home is a huge journey, because that punchline is there, na, har kona kuch kehta hai. This is actually the reality of a home. As an architect, if I'm able to really understand that and really reproduce it, it's not easy. That's the key skill, and that comes with understanding people. If you see all the new the thought process in the West and all, people the architects like Jane Gall and all those things, what they're talking about, the relationship between the people, the spaces, how the streets interact with things. I think these are important. And that's also important when you design a house, how you create a public spaces, how you create a hierarchy of spaces, how one space interacts with you seamlessly with other spaces. These are the very important, but these things are not a function of a design. It's understanding the user, understanding the human psychology, understanding how the people will evolve over a period. Now, like simple thing, we are in a situation of pandemic where, so we used to always design housing as a separate thing, hospital is a separate thing, and a workplace is different. Surprisingly, they will all now converge. You'll start designing houses which has isolation within the bedrooms, apartments which have multiple doors so that you can isolate the houses. You will start, so primary care, healthcare will move to houses. It will not going to be in the public places. It will be in the apartments actually. Offices, we spoke about it, working from home is going to be reality. So you will start looking at a furniture system. So basically you might design it as an office, but a bed tucked inside. So, it's very common in New York and Singapore, those small houses, home or Sohos, 6-meter ceilings, and you design those rakes. So what I'm trying to come to the point is that we need to understand the need of an architect, number one. Number two, expectation. When I say expectation of schedule, expectation of price, please root it in reality. Don't give okay, tomorrow I will do it. It will not happen. It will not happen. So let's be true. So frankly speaking, we are also into consulting business. Honestly speaking, if we can't service the client, we just don't take the project. There's no point in taking an opportunity just for sake of it. If we can't service him, when I say service, servicing to the level, I'm not just giving a lip service. And honestly speaking, this business gives you business from the word of mouth communication. If you do great work, there'll be people who will come back to you again and again. That's the important thing. You need to understand local bylaws. You need to understand materials, surprisingly. So I still remember some time back I had visited, I think maybe a year back, I was in Norman Foster's office. So if you see the design office is half the size of building material. Building material part is far bigger because the technology is moving so adversely, so fast. We need to keep abreast with what is in the material. Technology is something, because honestly speaking, as we speak, because we do a lot of this kind of work world over, the construction, what we are doing is going to become defunct in next 7 to 8 years. Singapore, it's all now volumetric construction. That's the importance. West, you see pre-modular, the companies like Kateras and all, the shared economy, they're going to change the whole scenario of this thing. And this scenarios will also change the need, how we live. Honestly speaking, we will start going back to some basics. Efficiency, the shared economy is going to have a profound effect on the design itself that we are living in. So that's the other important. And of course, the new thing that is there going to be adaptive reuse and sustainability, they will all come into the picture. So more and more people understand these things, more you bring onto the table. And last and the foremost, your ability to sell. At least I know all the top architects, they are amazing salesmen, and selling an idea without having anything is, I think, the greatest thing that you can have. Believe me, I've seen people who just walk in a room, within 5 minutes, they've just taken a project and gone. It's just because their ability to strike the right chord, understanding personality, able to connect at the personal level. When I say personal level, it doesn't mean that you know what he's doing. It means on a psychological level, you can sell an idea, So many times you see in life, the moment you see that guy, say, no, that's the guy. I think that's also important. And seeing what is likely to unfold in future. I think these are the couple of things that we really look at. You should be great at selling your idea, and like in a management parlance, there's a term called elevator speech. So you get that 10 seconds when you walk with him from top to bottom. If you're not able to sell your idea within those things, that's something. I think that's our take.
Thank you so much for sharing a perspective from a project management professional's point of view.
I had a good takeaway from Premnath sir's speech today, that working collaboratively, you have to be well equipped with all the time so you can grab the opportunities. And third one is the patience. You have to have a patience. So in this, few years back, there was a big drop in the industry, and we were also looking for the projects. We will thought of how to do business management and this business development. But then the things worked on positively in the right way. We were just started calling the people. Let's start to reach out to a maximum probable peoples. And as Kalpak said rightly, there was some persons who were waiting for us, in fact. And these opportunities turn to be in a big scale, huge projects today. So just be patient. When the time is not good, start develop your skills, your equipments, your abilities, and the things will move on fastly. So it has really turned up, and some stories there, we might share it in some other session. There are some miracle stories. So when I share this with some other people, people say, "तू झूठ बोल रहा है, ऐसा कभी होता ही नहीं है." So it has worked with me. It may be a miracle. How did I get the projects? I don't know what they like looking to my face and this. So as Premnath sir also said, and Dinesh ji also said, sometimes just 5 minutes, the things happens in a positive way. So it has really worked. Makes you be patient and things works on in the right direction. And at
Totally.
least
Yeah.
we trust on our field for that.
See, technology in terms of architecture and building construction, the biggest technology is the creative mind of architect. You have all the technology, doesn't matter, they're useless. One. Second thing is the common sense of application. A number of times we go into deep technology here, we don't apply common sense and we fail. I say, and the mind over there, we have a lot of design we want because putting some common sense solutions, it's easy and it was appreciated and it works a number of times. Third thing is decision making. Decision making is a kind of it's very, very important technology. It can delay you, can prolong you, it can help you to move on forward. I'm sure the project management people understand better. I have won a competition, a very tough competition with a company called Morgan Stanley. I did job for them 2.5 foot area. But today I'm taking a first meeting, designing, yet to the site, taking brief, and people functioning. What 1,000 people functioning. All job completed. Building, construction, fit out, everything done. In how much time? 8 months time. They say, Shatnath, how do you think it's possible to do it? I said, work doesn't take time. A decision making takes time. So we had a bet between two of us, between New York and Bombay, 12-hour time to have an email. My answer was come. I said, I'm an architect, I'm an owner, I take 5 seconds to decide it over there. How much time will you take? Be a corporate guy, to consult you guys, Singapore, in Hong Kong, and in New York City. How far you decided? He said, sir, we are in a hurry, we are serious about it, we did give credit here. And believe me, we did the job at much time. We had project manager coming from Fletcher, coming from London. We have customer bakery people. We had project later on. We had a race done already. Job was awarded to me, given to me with the result the 8th-month building pura hona chahiye before Christmas in the month of March. And actually happened. The 20 MD came from world over to see from Morgan Stanley how Indians are working. Indian architects, engineers, project managers, other people over there. We had done number of times decision making on phone and oral thing over there, recorded later on that. So we understanding between project manager, site engineer, and client and the customer, and all put together is very important. And architect had taken lead. They all mentioned, Mr. Premnath, you put in a race. When the job was completed with this, Premnath lost, you gave us sleepless nights. I said, man, you asked me to challenge me. So architects can do wonderful things. And so other project manager, hats off to them, I say again. So let me tell you, in time to come, in respect to Corona, not Corona over there, our building construction technology will change world over. First thing is we'll have a different way of working. IoT and 5G will change entire speed of work, thinking, quick responses, and quick collaboration is very important. Maybe we must change our mood, our method of working, of philosophy, ideology. We'll have new material coming. We'll have to have, in time to come, essentially sustainable architecture. There's no way any building has to be sustainable. Very important role we played by a glass company, called Solar Glass. Now, we normally solar cells and the roofs over there to produce power. We have solar glass being developed now. It's coming at one stage. We use shortly also in our green contact also there. Your glass windows, clear glass should produce power. If the whole building facade can become powerhouse. Other thing is that earlier we used to say transmission of glass, there be heat not coming in because we want to control electric load. Today say we allow the heat to come in, but we absorb the heat to produce power. That is the philosophy, that technology. We have been having a great kind of backup power digi sets over there and kind of a great kind of power producer over there. If it cause pollution, fuel cell is already advanced stage developed. So you will have fuel cell generators rather than have oil generators. That will change entire technology. We're going to lightweight and they produce more power. Our requirement will change on that. We've been using glass fiber plenty for our constructions. In time to come, we're using carbon fiber now. Carbon fiber comes to a very advanced stage now. It's becoming quite affordable. Technology is advanced over there. We'll be using lightweight constructions, large spans. These are new material going to come and change our architectural working over there. 3D printing. I started with only small thing visually. We may be making small model here, there, and the why they put a show of about 2-story house or building over there. But I believe 3D printing will help us a lot and change the method of technology in precast construction. We're making precast 3D technology floors. On the side, cast them, lift them, put provide above there, double jointed them over there, put 30-story, 40-story 3D technology. Other thing, finishings. In the Indian context particularly, when we have climate and which is different kind of climate we have it, we are not able to possibly have those brand lights and the ACP panel and those things very expensive. Can't replace them. And we can't put texture paint every 5-10 high-rise building. So no development is happening is permanent finishing, spray finishing, which is hard core finishing, which is lifelong. Let's spray coatings, which will be lifelong things. These are new technologies which we are already exploring it. We're trying it, using. Sometimes architect has to be ahead of time.
Right.
Others people follow. We tell them such a way you do it. When somebody asks me, I'll tell like this. For example, I do a lot of tech. I put lighting system over there. And the LED came over there, nobody light. I put the LED for my own home. I did about 30 years back, put color light over there, color wheel to how to light change over there. But the first one do LED in my hotel to make a kind of Mr. War over there. And do technology, LED technology, giving multiple color things like that, play allow to tune up music over there. Today, the architect will have to try it and bring it, use it over there, how it become kind of popular and others can learn from us, from each other. And this is the technology which I see in future. And if the architect must be hungry to always keep exploring new technology, keep trying also over there, how you make better building, good building tomorrow.
There's a question from Mr. Rishabh. He's asking, what are the future of alternate technologies like composite structure and precast? What are the stalwarts planning to do ahead on this? I think you have already highlighted that point, Premnath sir.
Yes, sir.
One more question from him only. What are the innovations and mechanisms in plastering and screening that should be included in the planning and management of the building construction? That's also, I think, answered. There's a question from Mr. Ashlam. He is asking that external insulation and finishing system.
Yes, I will tell you.
Right, sir.
I tell you. See, fortunately, we happen to be ahead of time. And we never say common sense. I'll give you simple common sense. I did a township planning about 10 years back. About 3 million square foot township over there, 150 acres, for which I've been given Green Architecture Award. I got gold rating gold for the state environment. When we're making this over here, when the client we discuss with them, the temperature in Punjab, in Bhatinda, goes to 45, 48 degrees. I say, I'm going to make you homes which are cooler and environment friendly. And is how do you would not even air conditioning also there. How will you do stuff? You know what I did over there? I was the first one started using fly ash bricks, and I used the insulation on the building facade and the roof. What material I used over there? You know, fire clay. What we say clay bricks we use a batti. In furnaces we use over there. We got refractory clay bricks. They're not expensive. They are cheaper than any tile over there. And we use them as a building facade. They've got a good color variation. And the rooftop over there, I could drop temperature by 12 degrees between outside and inside. And I have got cross ventilation and a lot of landscape over there. And this is one of the features that we use over there. So building insulation, we did as part of our normal construction. Normally you see old homes over there in Uttar Pradesh and over there, they put mud kind of filling. They got a mud fashka, about 6 to 8 inches over there, which gives insulation. It's part of a traditional way of doing over there. Today we have got fortunately very good material. We got spray insulation. It's available to us. We can spray insulation, we use the rooftop, and we get you waterproofing and get you totally insulated. And another building, platinum dated building in campus architecture in Baroda. I did the same thing. I use the clay bricks outside and roof insulation, and I make my all windows orientation. All my windows, classroom windows are north side, and the south side I did over there. Give verandas, give it deep shading, and I give cross ventilation and give you landscape. The courtyard over there, I could top it. I could top a temperature 12 degree, and I gave it non-air conditioned building platinum rating. Guys save 100% energy. It's an air conditioning, non-air conditioned. Now these are a few skill architects can try it over there. Insulation is a very important part. Today, insulation is becoming very inexpensive. It must be used extensively. And a lot of materials available now. They form a tile, is trying to figure out, it's explored over there. They're built in Chennai, come from the Gujarat, they come from Uttar Pradesh, a lot of places over there. If you find it over there, it is available and you can use them beautifully as part of architecture. And it must be tried and it helps you to do sustainable architecture.
Right.
I think
Thank you, sir. So there's one more question. That's the last question we are going to take. What are the current opportunities you see for made in India goods that can attain the quality of international standards? So, Kalpak, would you like to take that question?
Sure. Absolutely. So this is something that we are already doing right now.
Right.
So I would say like opportunities are still there and they're kind of everywhere, whatever you can excel in, you can, try to up the standards of the same thing, and you're definitely opening yourself to international market also. So we are already doing a lot of woodwork, metal work, brass things, taking the local craftsmanship, our Indian wood and material. So it's a completely made in India project that we are using for architects based in London and for a project based in Africa. So we are like taking that scale up, and I think it could be done for all the projects, for furniture, for facade systems, for floorings. There have been a lot of traditional way of Indian making, which needs to be studied upon and worked upon a lot more to take it excel it and perfect it to a level that everyone would want it. There's a lot of even waterproofing, boat making. There's so many things. So actually, more than waiting for opportunity to come up, once you excel into any of these products that could be made in India, and you put it up, I'm definitely sure a lot of clients, customers, buyers would want to get their hands onto it.
With that, we would like to announce the end of today's session. Before concluding today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Architect Premnath sir, Architect Sameer Dharukar, Architect Kalpak Shah, and Mr. Dinesh Dubeji for their active participation. I would also like to thank my editor, Mr. Prasad Nair, for his active support. Also, thank for the viewers who were watching this session live on Facebook page and YouTube channel. I request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.